Hey there, I'm Dejan Isak and this is the Agency Engine Room, where we cut through the noise of thousands of tools to reveal the systems that actually deliver client results. The agencies that scale aren't just using more tools. They're strategically integrating the right tools to create operational engines that consistently deliver without burning out their teams. Find show notes and resources at agencyengineroom.com or /agencyengineroom on LinkedIn. Today, we're opening the engine room with Milan Savov, founder and CEO of SmartClick Agency. Milan discovered that most web developers were building beautiful sites that search engines couldn't find, so he built an agency that bridges both worlds. Milan, welcome to the Agency Engine Room. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about SmartClick Agency?
First, thank you, Dan, for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. I'm Milan Savov, 37 years old, from Strumica, Macedonia, and I run SmartClick, a web and SEO agency who actually help B2B SaaS companies to get more high intent leads through organic traffic. That's one of our specialties. And how I start SmartClick is actually before 7-8 years ago, I was like a freelancer full time. And at some point, one of my customers from Denmark told me, "Hey, Milan, why don't you open a company?" And I was like, "Why I would need that?" But then he explained me that it would be easier for us to cooperate, and even if there is like more opportunities for us to work with. And first, I was like, I don't need that for me. But after that, he started giving me more and more work. And at that point, I needed extra help, extra people to be on the projects, because I wouldn't be able to do that on my own in 40 hours work week. And I opened the company, I hired a person, a web developer, and then we started working together for that particular client. And then came more clients. So the team started expanding. And at one point, implemented also the SEO part, which is right now the specialty for the agency, SEO together with the custom WordPress development. So that's in short.
That's actually very cool. Basically, one of your clients pushed you to become an agency because they
Yeah.
had so much work to do. Actually, had the same thing happen to me. I just didn't do what you did because I used to be a content writer back then, still writing in German because I grew up in Germany. And also, one of my clients was like, "Why are you not launching your own agency? You live in Romania, in a city there are actually a lot of German speaking people. So I could have launched my agency and got like German speaking Romanians to help me out. I was like, nah, it's like too much work. So I didn't go through with it.
Yeah. It was pretty much the same. But I think that challenge bring me like was one of the things that bring me to the next level. So maybe if he didn't push me to open the company, I would still be like a freelancer.
Very cool. Yeah. Good thing that he did it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking right now. I saw that you recently launched a book called Earn the First Million and a backlink tracking tool. What's driving this expansion beyond core agency service that you're offering?
Yeah, actually, the book was launched a couple of years ago. At that point, we were just trying to share the knowledge for how we actually approach the whole SEO process. But to be honest, we never promoted that book because our focus at that time was the e-commerce stores. But then we switched to the B2B SaaS, which is the concepts are pretty much the same, but the main audience is different. So the main goal with the book was to share more knowledge and actually give people like an action steps what they want, what they need to do if they want to do it on their own. So that's the thing about the book and the tool, the backlink tracker tool. When we work for SEO for bigger clients, they usually, besides the on-page SEO, the technical part needs a backlinks. When you buy expensive backlinks, you have to track them properly because you pay a lot of money to get the backlink. And then if it's not indexed or not followed or they erased by any way, usually it's a manual process to detect all of that. There are some tools, but they did not fulfill our needs. So we decided to build our own tool, which will help our team first to follow all that process with the strategy in behind. And right now we're developing like a model to actually make it a tool for like a SaaS tool. So we're defining our ICP, our packaging. So probably in the couple of next months we'll be maybe ready for others to use.
Very cool. I think this happens a lot because I work with Service Provider Pro and we had the same issue. Like we build a network of partnerships and do link swaps and other things. And then it's very difficult once it scales to track the links. Like it becomes impossible. Spreadsheets are just not good. You can have scripts and whatever. It's just annoying. So we built our internal tool that we also made available for free. But yeah, we built it around our needs, which is actually tracking a lot of partnership exchanges because sometimes it's ABC, so between multiple parties.
Yeah, but usually that's how a lot of the tools are becoming actually successful. When you have a need, you fix it for yourself and then help others to fulfill that need.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about your agency because you've built something very interesting, an agency that started from recognizing a gap others have missed. Tell us why every web development should also be linked to SEO and they're not living in separate worlds like some people are selling their services.
Yeah, that's pretty good question. So I discovered this on myself because I was a web developer in the past, worked as a freelancer around 4 years and in a private company three years. So in total 7 years. So I noticed that when I discuss about creating some websites, I'm not digging a bit deeper into their business. So I'm not trying to understand their business, but I do the website and it could be perfect, it could be beautiful, it could be fast and so on. But then the client has a need to actually use that website as a lead generation channel. So they create the website to support the business, not just to have a beautiful website. And that was the point, which was like a aha moment for me, where I said, okay, you have the website, but now what? Now still no one can find you, no one can see you. What's the point of investing a lot of money into just creating it? And at that point, I was thinking what I can do more for them so they can not just have the website, but actually have a traffic on it, and after that become leads. And at that point came the SEO part to me, where I said, okay, now is the time to actually give them more than just a website, but it's perfectly optimized for the SEO with on-page technical things, content, and so on. So this was like the switching point where I actually started maybe selling that as a value proposition because not a lot of developers take care of the SEO while they're developing the websites.
Yeah, speaking of that, since you mentioned that too many developers are not optimizing for search engines as well, when you're working with like a B2B SaaS company, for example, what kind of disconnect do you see between what gets actually built and what actually converts?
Yeah, so this usually should come from the marketing perspective, from the marketing team, but there must be alignment into the teams because developers will do their job. They will provide you the perfect website, the fastest website, and so on. But they're not thinking, is this button blue or green or what will convert better? So the marketing team must give them directions to maybe create A/B tests or whatever, just to make it better from the very beginning. I completely understand this because the developers are trying to do their own job the best way. And for them, it's completely fine. But when the product comes to the marketing, to the sales, then it's a problem if it doesn't bring the leads which they're expecting for. So that's why a marketing team should clearly communicate the goals to everyone in the team, maybe give bigger context when they create the strategy and how the website is actually part of that goals. So this is really crucial. When people get context and know what they're involved in, not just like a task, build a website, do that, do that, but know that that website will actually brings more leads to the company, which helps them grow, which helps everyone after that to grow, the people and so on to go to events. That's where people feel connected and try to provide more to the company.
Also, speaking about that, I think you've written a little bit about conversion driven keywords in your content. And it's really easy to find keywords with traffic. But the problem is actually ensuring that they also turn visitors into paying customers because this is what I see a lot with agencies. They're like, oh, we brought this much traffic in, but what did it do? Nothing, probably. You have like 2 customers in a month. So does it really help anyone? I guess not.
Yeah, probably not. Traffic is nice metrics, but it's not the most important one. So this is again from SEO perspective. If you get traffic, the team will be happy. But then again, how actually that traffic converts into MQLs and after that into SQLs. So again, the huge context is really important because when you share the goals to the SEO team, they must understand that everything which is written on the website should help buyers to speed up their decision. Even if they're here to educate, they will consume more content, but after that, they will get back for more and more and more, maybe to compare with you with others, or when they're ready for making the transaction, they will still look out for something to support the trust in you. So they come on a call and then hopefully become a customer. But that's the huge process which everyone in the team should understand, that when you build something, you build to help the users on it to understand something more and to speed up the decision.
Exactly. Let's shift to our efficiency engine segment so we can look into this a little bit in more detail. You've developed what you call a three-phase approach. So it's smart audit, smart transformation, and smart strategy. Can you just walk us through how this works a little bit on a typical B2B SaaS website, for example?
Yeah, sure. So the first phase, the smart audits, is actually like making like a blood analysis test for us, like the best metaphor. So we try to understand each part of the website and how it's set up. The technical part, does it have the right structure, the right sections, the right mapping on the menu? So does it have the right content on it, the right keywords? So we go really, really deep to understand everything which is on the website, together with the backlinks analysis and the competitor analysis. Because also the competitors are really different, to understand what they do good. So you can maybe use some of the things which you are missing, or what they do bad. So you can use something which they maybe don't do or do bad, to leverage it for your website and have some quick wins around that topic. This is like the best spots which you're looking for when you try to show some results in the first 1, 2, or 3 months, because it's a long-term process. But then you must have some quick wins, because the clients are usually impatient, so they want to see some movement. So this is what the analysis do for us. And then there is the transformational phase. Once we know the clear picture of their current situation, now we're trying to align the issues and fix them to align with their huge goals, like transform maybe the main navigation. So each user who are on the website, depending on their phase of the journey, are they in the aware of consideration, just to map the process to show them the right content which they're looking for, with the proper keyword, with the proper content, like we're moving that user from on the funnel from the SEO perspective. But again, we're trying to also map out the content for each type of the buyer personas. So the main decision makers are looking out for some information, but they're also someone who influence the decision, and then users at the end. So you have to provide them different kind of information. So this is something which we're trying to achieve in that transformational phase, together with all the technical fixes. And then once that's done, we are starting the strategy, where we create new content, constantly re-optimize the current one, where we will found like more opportunities which previously was missed. But again, with the priorities, because you can't do everything at once. So you must priority what's most important to be fixed right now, what can be done in a month or two, and so on.
In the smart audit phase, can you tell me what's like the most common blind spot you discover that companies don't even realize is costing them a lot of money?
So usually the technical part is not well done by the technical SEO part is not well done on most of the websites. So they are missing like better usage of the Google budget. When Google and some search engines are coming as support to the website, they have limited time. So this is something really important and is not known for a lot of companies. And the other thing maybe is the actually setting up the whole buyer journey. What I am always suggesting is try to map out the process, try to map out how the users are using the information which you're currently providing. So when these two are very well done in the beginning, it's much easier to actually establish a good strategy after that.
For the Google crawl budget, is it like the crawl depth is really bad and they have like too many pages that are like really hidden or not linked properly, or what do you see?
It happens some important page which actually could bring transactional users on the website to be on some level which is very, very deep in the website. So Google maybe will not even see it, or will see it after a long time. which is not the best scenario. So that's why everyone should try to provide these pages to Google to be easy to be found.
I think I've seen it where people have really cool pages, but they're not linked on the main page. So they're not in the header, they're not in the footer. And they're like, you have to click twice to get to them,
Yeah,
or even to the index,
or more.
which is actually very surprising. It's like, why would you hide it from anyone, not just Google? Like, how is your user supposed to find something that takes 2 clicks to find, if you can find it in 2 clicks?
Yeah, probably that happens because you don't know what with the best performing content from the very beginning. So after you create, it's nice to have a retro what you did from content perspective, what's good, what's bad, and then try to maybe reorganize this. And that's why it's nice to do like this, maybe mini analysis time to time.
Brilliant. You've worked with companies like StatusCast and JTF Marketing. How do the different roles within a B2B SaaS company experience the transformation differently? Because if you help them optimize a website, a CEO will see different results from it, I guess, than the marketing team, right?
Usually the sales team wants to see a much faster sales cycle from operational perspective. So with the content which you provide, you should educate the customers when they come to the sales calls to be more educated and not ask a lot of questions which you already should provide. When it comes to the marketing team, from operational perspective, what they're usually looking for is to avoid hiring, avoid recruiting, avoid spending money on tools or building the SOPs. So these are like things which you get when you hire an agency. So the whole team is like plug and play into your marketing team and goals. So you don't need to go through all over of that. And on top of that, maybe they will decrease the budget spent on paid ads because you will, with organic traffic, you will get a lot of people who are much more targeted, and then you can create better campaigns which could cost less, and you can get same result with less money. So these are for these two roles. For the CEOs, it's mostly so again when they aligned marketing and sales much better, they get more leads, they're more happy with the whole situation. Usually they are not directly involved into the process because they had key people who are in the decision roles, but are freeing up the time to the CEOs. So it's the most important thing to do.
Yeah, I'm always wondering, how do you keep people aligned with expectations? Because when they hire someone, and let's say they already had an agency before and got disappointed, how do you tell them, don't expect results in a month or expect little results, but the key results you'll see after 2 or 3 months, maybe?
We always try to be really honest and transparent. And usually I always ask people who came with some idea to achieve something. I will always ask them what they tried before. So if they tell me that they tried with working with a couple of agencies and still not seeing results, my question is, why are you still trying? What's still giving you the energy again to invest in SEO, invest in another team? And that's where people will open up and will tell you. So probably maybe it's some really important channel which they want to develop or whatever it is. But that's the point that you will hear the truth. So they should tell you what's behind their decision.
Yeah, that's a brilliant insight. Let's run a quick diagnostic on like common operational failures. You mentioned that your philosophy is documentation before automation. What's the most expensive mistake you see SaaS companies make when they try to systemize their SEO but not document every step?
Why I mentioned documentation before automation is I found out that sometimes you try maybe to automate something and to make the process more efficient, but at the end, maybe that will be not the right process. Until you find out is this process really successful for you, that's the point where where you start thinking about now how can I automate it so it speed up my efficiency and the team's efficiency. When someone is trying to automate before have the proven process, that's usually where the biggest mistake is. So you're spending money and time and energy to make something which you're still not sure is it the right thing.
In my previous episode, I talked to actually an automation specialist called Evripides, and he said he always calculates the ROI. So is it going to pay back in a year?
Yeah.
Which sometimes it doesn't, because some things are so small, you could do it manually. It doesn't make sense to automate. Yeah, and he mentioned, for example, it can be something very simple, but even when it comes to SEO, if your team is very small, and you still work in spreadsheets, sometimes it's not bad. Like, as long as you're not crazy busy and it doesn't cost you 80 hours a month in reporting time, that's fine. You can still do it manually. But once you hit a bottleneck and you see, okay, this takes too much time in hours and man hours, then it makes sense to actually evaluate if automation will help you save time.
Yeah. And by then, from the Excels, you will have all the data which you actually need to present in that automated report. So you will collect information, and the experience behind it, and you will automate.
Yeah, and speaking of like anything falling apart when it comes to your processes, when a company comes to you and their website traffic has plateaued, so they're hitting this ceiling where it just doesn't grow anymore, what do you usually find is the reason why it's not growing anymore? Is there like something specifically that triggers it?
When the website is plateau, they probably stopped doing what they did before, which bring them to the situation which they are right now. And again, I'm trying to understand on this diagnosis call what they did before, which works, what they stopped doing. And once they tell me, usually it's again, they stop probably updating the content so often. They maybe fired the marketing team or someone who was responsible for creating the content. So usually these are the cases, and they were expecting that everything which is achieved that will stay like that forever and then make the plateau. But even in that case, when someone has like a flat traffic for a long time, they could generate a lot of leads in the very beginning because of the situation. And then with the same traffic, they started generating less and less leads. And at that point, they're like triggered. Now what? So they're asking for additional help.
Yeah, I think also a classic is we just invest in ads and then we turn them off, and then you're like, why are we not getting leads anymore? It's like, I mean, you stop paying for it. Of course, you're not going to have them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and with content, it's similar because I take care of the marketing side for SPP. And even if you publish a blog post, you can't just leave it there. The search results are constantly changing. The intent changes sometimes. Like we have so many blog posts that are now competing against each other because the main keywords started changing. So now you have to merge maybe 3 blog posts into one single blog post just so they're not competing against each other. So it's a continuous cycle of writing, updating, verifying. Did your changes even make any impact? Why not? Try something else.
Yeah, you have to test a lot. And that's actually what's happened in our second phase, the transformation phase, where we do all of that. But again, after time to time, you just follow the performance of the new content which is created and also the old one which is already there. So you're still tracking them and try to find if there are a lot of impressions, what you can do so they start getting more clicks. So you modified something, get some keywords, or maybe, as you said, you map out 2 or 3 blog posts into one, or just eliminate something which is not bringing the result. But again, it's really important to follow the whole process. If you just step out and you expect that something will happen by itself, probably it wouldn't.
For sure not. Yeah. You can't just do your work once and then just redeem the fruit of your process. For sure not.
Yeah, and just to add something here. So when something happens like this situation, we find out that some change which we made and bring us results, and that happens second time, third time, that's where we try to document that process. So what we did differently, which bring us results, map that out as a process, and then share that knowledge with the rest of the team, because they can do the same with other projects which you're working on. And it's like now it started to be like proven process for like a pattern. And then you're implementing to more and more projects. And again, it show you the results which you're expecting.
Let's switch to the integration insight segment so we can explore how your systems connect to each other. You've built Check My Backlinks as a tool, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but can you tell me exactly why you created it? You mentioned that you had the need to fulfill something internally, but why couldn't other tools fulfill that specific need?
That's mostly the team's decision. So they explored a couple of tools, but they didn't fulfill their needs. I don't know exactly the whole of the details. I'm not a lot of into that. But at that point, some of them told us that we have to make something different, which will exactly show us which link is live, which is indexed. So we have like clear list and notification what's going on in behind. So we don't manually check everything else.
Do you know what is like the number one issue? Do you see backlinks just vanish after a little while and people don't tell you about it? Or
It really depends what kind of links are you doing. So we don't just do a lot of them. We try to be as aligned as with the strategy, with the main SEO strategy, just to support the SEO strategy. We don't just do backlinks for the sake of it and just make a quantity. So when it's pretty targeted, it's niched, it's rare to be erased or whatever it is. But again, we must to be sure that our clients are still investing into this, and we want to protect them.
for my next question, you've worked across multiple countries such as Denmark, Australia, and even the US. Are there any cultural and market differences that you've noticed and you have to adapt your framework a little bit just to stay consistent?
There are definitely cultural differences. What we are trying is to follow our own system. Like if you allow to adapt to every client, then you don't have a system and you can't be consistent in what you do.
You also have mentioned in one of your content that your Australian agency collaborations taught you about different systems and company cultures. What's one operational approach you borrowed from these experiences?
Yeah, so these were like maybe one of my first experience as as a freelancer. And one of these companies at that time, I'm speaking about maybe 8, 9 years ago, they developed their own system, like own framework for their niche clients at that point. And it speed up a lot of the delivery process. So this is something which we're currently doing. So we're trying to have our own system, our own framework for the web development and what we can do for the SEO part. So it's like speeding up in behind to do the delivery. And it's constantly something which you're trying to evolve and improve.
Have you like worked with clients recently that just gave you new ideas to do something within your framework? Because as we talked about, it's always like a never ending optimization process, I guess.
Yeah, and these are like the best clients. So as the agency grows, we started getting a lot more sophisticated customers than before. We were pretty in the very beginning. As we grow, the companies are bigger and bigger, and they challenge you to implement something new. So I think it's very nice. And again, if you're open-minded and want to implement the changes which they're suggesting, it's good even for them and for the company because you're not stagnant in your delivery. It's happening really often, especially in the past year when the AI is coming. So everyone is just talking about it, AI, how we can implement inside the company process, but also for the customers to speed up the content production and so on. But again, you must be really careful who to listen.
Speaking of AI, that's actually my next segment. So let's talk a little bit about AI. With all the frequent Google changes and all the AI overviews and ChatGPT and Perplexity and so on, how do you see AI changing your operational workflow in the next 12 months?
What we are trying to do is to adapt into AI. So we are pretty careful with it because you still can't rely 100% just to produce anything. But we're trying to speed up our internal resources to use as efficiently as possible all of this help. And also we're trying to use it in operational perspective. For example, some of the things which we're doing manually before, now it's automated with AI. So this is the automation. But again, there was like a proven process behind some operation, and then is the point where you can actually speed it up. When it comes to the search, how, for example, we optimize for AI is we try to create content which is really specific and is on point. So it shows again in the LLMs, but also on Google. So you have to have really, really good content. The search habits of people are changing, and the results are how Google show results is also evolving. So one of the things which we're trying to adapt is how to stay with all of these changes.
I was like exploring how to track brand mentions and everything in AI. And all the tools I found is they generate the prompts and then they show you what kind of percentage you show up in the results. But it's like It's just generated by them. There could be hundreds more that weren't generated, and you can't track hundreds of thousands of prompts. It's impossible. It's so expensive, actually. So you do get a number of percentage that you're like, let's say 20% present in the prompts, but only the prompts you chose. You don't know about the other prompts.
Again, it's like a challenge with the metrics which you have. You can't follow what people exactly are typing into the chat GPT. So you extract what's the keyword which actually shows you in their results. I think probably this could be solved in the next couple of months or years.
Yeah, I hope so, because it makes it very difficult. And also, again, like the AIs are constantly changing what they actually show.
Yeah.
And the only good thing you can do is make it easy for them to scrape your website. I know people have been blocking everything, and I was like, why? You want to show up in the results. So I was looking into it a bit, and I saw that for SaaS, it's really good to have competitor tables against 2 or 3 competitors. So your brand versus 1, 2, 3, and then make just a super simple table. AI will love it. They will just scrape it so quickly, and you're going to show up in the result.
Yeah, and this is really nice practice for each SaaS, because once someone is comparing you and others, and if they are on your website, so you are showing all of these informations to them, they are right now and here to decide are they continue with you or not.
Yeah, I think it's also a lot about controlling the narrative, because your competitors are probably doing it. They might do it wrong because I've seen it, and they do wrong pricing information, wrong features. And then
Yeah.
a potential customer sees it, they decide, oh, this is not for me because it's too expensive, although the pricing is wrong. So it's in your interest to rank number 1 or show up in ChatGPT and control the narrative.
Yeah, definitely.
One more question about AI. As someone who bridges technical development and SEO strategy, what kind of operational skills do you think will matter most for agencies this year and next year?
I think just to follow the AI as much as possible and try to make these prompts as better as possible. So they provide them more and more correct answers for what they're looking for. I also find it very useful for some strategic decisions which you made for your agency. It's not operational, but you can use it to act like your advisor when you have some doubts what to implement or not. Maybe just use for a brainstorming with these prompts. But again, you must be very, very specific.
Yeah, I've had some struggle with being specific, and I use Claude personally a lot. So before I set everything up in projects, the problem is updating the knowledge in the projects, because it's usually either a file or something manually uploaded. So it means you have to delete it and re-upload it, which is very annoying. So my solution was MCP and an Obsidian knowledge base. Even that is tricky because Claude sometimes forgets to look for data or it just mixes something up. So you always have to double check. Is it actually correct what it just wrote?
Yeah.
Speaking of the comparison pages, for example, I wrote like a template, or I made Claude write a template to generate it. Like every page is generated by Claude. So it does the research and everything. But is the research correct? Like I asked it to scrutinize it a bunch of times, and it's like, oh, I made an error. I listed this feature for Asana as enterprise. It was not enterprise. I was like, oh my God, no, please don't do that. It's going to be so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, definitely. So you have to be careful with the prompts and maybe just combine a couple of these tools to double check all of the situation. So you're maybe not 100%, but more sure in what you're doing.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask you a question I will ask all our guests. What's one underrated system, tool, or process that you believe is the hidden engine for agencies to grow?
I would add here that probably self-reflection and reflecting on agency goals and achievements in the quarter, half year is something which I'm seeing that a lot of agencies are not doing, but it's nice habit to implement. What I've found out for myself is when I do self-reflection, I usually detect what was good and what was not good. So I just eliminate the bad things and then put a lot of more focus on the good ones, which again increase your productivity, your efficiency, and so on. And when you implement that across the whole team, that's like a different game, because everyone is eliminating like bad things, habits, and whatever it is. But you have to sit down and just do a reflection. So it's maybe not a classic tool or a product, but it's like tool for your self improvement.
I think people are not thinking too much about what is going on right now, and they just roll with the process they've established 5 years ago and just keep at it.
Yeah, that's usually the case, which I'm facing a lot more.
Milan, thank you so much for sharing these insights about your operational playbook. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about SmartClick Agency?
First, thank you again for inviting me. It was pleasure, and I hope this will help someone to maybe overcome some personal or business challenges. People can find us on our website. It's smartclick.agency, or on my LinkedIn profile, Milan Savov. So I'm pretty active there, and we can connect, and I would be glad to speak with someone.
Thank you for sharing these insights. Remember, great tools are just the start. The magic happens when you strategically implement them into your agency's workflow. This is Dejan Isak. See you in the engine room.